All right, it's 5 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call to order the work session for the East Grand Forks City Council for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Please turn on your microphones, and will the city administrator please call roll?
Mayor Mark Olsted.
Here.
Council President Brian Larson.
Here.
Vice President Tim Riepel.
Here.
Council members Tammy Schumacher.
Here.
Ben Pokshavinsky.
Here.
Dale Helms.
Here.
Donald Kiesme.
Here.
Karen Peterson.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Let's move into the agenda for the work session. The first item is request to file plans and specifications and advertise for bids for the 2026 City Project Number 3 Trail Improvements. Mr. Emergy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Council, Mayor. So we have been working on the plans and specs for your trail improvement project. I do have a kind of a preliminary set with me tonight if anybody would want to take a look at them, but we'll be wrapping those up the next week here, have them ready to file with the council next Tuesday. I did include in the packet kind of the map, just showing again the areas that we're looking at for projects or improvements, I guess. We are going to bid it, probably like 4 different proposals, so just depending on how prices come in, and you can kind of pick and choose what we want to complete with what we have available for budget. So again, project funding, I think as Jeremy mentioned last time, be looking at using Greenway maintenance funds. So with that, yeah, we would just be looking to, at the next council meeting, file plans and specs. Looking to set a bid date for 10 a.m. on January 8th. And then we would actually bring those bids back to the 13th work session, then come back on January 20th council meeting for approval, consideration of awards. So that's all I have for tonight, unless you have any questions.
I guess I'd just ask, and then Mr. Helms will go, which of the 4 areas would be like the base bid, the most important one to complete next year?
I think the one in probably priority, I would probably do the blue area. I think maybe priority 1, probably red 2, and then between 3 and 4, I think the green, or on the other side of the river, kind of by the
the stuff on Eagle Point, that's original, so that's definitely in need of some
right
attention.
Here?
Yeah.
So okay, so maybe we make that one priority 2, and maybe the red priority, or the purple you're thinking, Jeremy, priority 1?
Yeah, that's the one that it's in pretty rough shape down there.
Okay.
It gets a lot of traffic in the summer months.
Okay. So I would say purple maybe 1, blue 2, red 3, and then green would be 4. So that's how we can prioritize it like that, and then you could kind of award any combination of those if you want. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Helms.
Yeah, just before you were talking like a mile and a half. Is this still just a mile and a half here?
Yeah.
Yep.
All of these, or just the one?
Nope. All of
I
them.
mean, it looks bigger. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes, all of them.
So you'll come back with kind of an a la carte option for us to decide how much to fund for next year.
Yeah, typically what we'll kind of do is maybe based on your priority, you could either award 1, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sure.
Probably set it up like that. So
Wouldn't it be cheaper to just do it all at once? Wouldn't they give a better price?
if we got the money, Dale, I think that's,
Yeah.
anytime you have a bigger project, you're going to get better prices, but just kind of depending on where prices come in and what you got in your maintenance fund. So that's our goal, is to try to do it all, but.
Because I would think if they come in and do 4 different deals here,
I would say, to be honest with you, I would say we're probably looking at doing all of them, or maybe 3 of them, just based on where we know where we're at with the budget. I don't think it's going to be a case where we end up doing just one of them, but.
Do you include a combined bid to try to save on mobilization?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's why they have to know 2 ahead of time, kind of know that you could award maybe 1 or 2 of them, so that they kind of figure their mobilization accordingly,
Yeah.
you know. So that's kind of why we let them know up front that, you know, council has the right to award any combination or, you know, so they don't come back, if you award just 2 of them, they don't come back and say, well, I need more mobilization now, you know.
Right. Yeah, we don't want that either.
Oh, is all this still just overlay?
It's, for the most part, overlay. We did find when we were doing our field review, we do have some areas that are a little tougher shape than we expected. We may have to, in a few areas, just kind of replace the whole trail for a segment, but for the most part, it's an overlay. Yep.
All right, thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Emery or Mr. King?
I've just got a quick one.
Go ahead, Ben.
Are we making them any wider, or are we just keeping them the same width and just
Same
overlay?
width. Yeah,
Okay.
these are all pretty much 10 feet, so we'll keep same width.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to item number 2 then. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 2, request to approve promotion of Officer Cole Hodny to position of Police Corporal. Chief Hedlund.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this fall, council approved the start of a hiring process, promotional process for the position of corporal that took place after Justin Rue was moved into the open investigator's position. We have completed that process and Cole Hodny finished at the top of the roster. So we're requesting that be approved for promotion to corporal.
Okay, any questions for Chief Hedlund? I see none. All right, thank you. You can stay here, Chief. You've got item 3 as well. Yep. So item number 3, request to approve restated Pine to Prairie Drug Task Force Joint Powers Agreement. Chief Hedlund.
Our drug task force has been in place since 2008. Over the course of that time, we've had, this is now the 5th restated JPA, Joint Powers Agreement between the various agencies that are involved in the drug task force. And the biggest change in this one is just reflecting a change in membership. We've added Red Lake County Sheriff's Office, and then in the past, Pennington County Sheriff's Office and Thief River Falls PD basically jointly did one position, and they would kind of alternate which agency was going to provide the officer to the task force. At this point in time, they're each providing their own officer, with that person serving on a half-time basis. So they're each a half member versus a full member. So that's the largest changes in the current format. So essentially, this needs to be approved by council, and then it needs to be signed by the mayor, Mr. Huttunen, and then also the approval of Mr. Golstead.
Do these changes increase any burden on the city of East Grand Forks?
No, our share is actually going to wind up being slightly more than we had anticipated this year. The task forces across the state, on average, took about a 5% hit because they did add an additional task force this year, an increase in the funding. But for whatever reason, our department took a hit, not as much of a hit as many of the agencies did. So our share is slightly less than it's been in the past, but not much.
Okay. Any questions for Chief Hedlund on the restated JPA for the Pine to Prairie? See none? All right. Thank you, sir. We'll move into item number 4 then. Request to advertise for equipment operator position within the Public Works Department. Mr. Stordahl.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. As you know, Mr. George Weber will be, his last day will be Friday, and I'm asking for authorization to start the hiring process to fill the vacancy left by George. If council approves to move forward and do so, the position will be advertised internally first, which I am pretty positive that we'll have candidates for that. Typically how it works is one of the truck drivers will apply for it. And if they're to receive their promotion, then we'll have a truck driver vacancy. So if that's the way it works out here, I will be coming back to council to ask for approval to hire a truck driver.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stordahl? Mr. Helms.
Thank you, Mr. Stordahl. You have some kind of a training policy in place when, somebody goes out of a truck driver into a payloader or something like that. It's a little bit different machine to operate do you have?
We typically cross-train, so all of our truck drivers are experienced in the equipment right now.
Already?
Yeah,
Okay.
already. So, but if there isn't a skill that they have that they need, definitely,
Yeah.
they will
Okay.
not receive training.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Stordahl? I see none. All right. Thank you. Item number 5, Minnesota Paid Family and Medical Leave Policy. Mr. Huttunen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President, council members. The Minnesota Paid Family and Medical Leave Law goes into effect January 1st of 2026. We have communicated with our employees that the program goes effective on the first of the year and that there will be employee contributions to that. The way we've proposed it in our union negotiations and in this policy is that the employer will pay for 50% of the contribution and the employee will pay for 50%. The statutory requirement is that the employer pay for 50%. It can pay for more, but not for less. But the standard across the state that we're seeing kind of in best practice is many employers and employees are sharing that burden 50-50. We are planning and intending on enrolling in the state's paid leave program. There were options to go into private programs. We did, through Terry Knudsen, our human resources, and myself, look at a few of those options and opted at this point thinking it's the best to go to the state program, at least for year one, to see what it looks like. There are some private options available, but many of them that we looked at wanted multi-year agreements to go into it. And being year one of the program, there's some uncertainty as to what the future of the program will look like and what rates will look like beyond the first year. So we're recommending we go with the state's program. The policy speaks to that and speaks to how employees, if they need to use the paid leave program, will apply for it. I would just kind of make that point and reiterate that it is a state program. We will, through the city, support employees and help them with their applications, but they are applying to a state program. And the state sets the eligibility and decides the contributions that each employee may be eligible for, whether that be a full-time or part-time employee based on their earnings, how many hours they work, whether they work predominantly in Minnesota or in North Dakota is a factor that gets looked at, being it's a state of Minnesota program. So all those things will be taken into account when they apply through the state's program, and we'll just help facilitate that. And then the last thing to point out is specific for full-time employees or those part-time employees that may have earned sick and safe time. If they use paid leave, that does not compensate 100% of their earnings. It's some number between 35 and 95% based on eligibility. This policy will allow the employee to, quote, top off their leave by using other paid leave they've accrued through the city, whether that be vacation or sick leave. So say the state pays for 66% of the leave. If they have accrued leave available to use, they could use their accrued leave to cover the remaining 34% on the time that they're off. So with that, just we'd be looking for approval at the meeting next week of the policy to implement it into our personnel policy.
Reid, I almost hate to ask you to do this, but could you kind of explain how this program would work for like part-time summer help? You know, someone that doesn't have paid time off. How would they utilize this program? I'm kind of at a loss for it.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
You had to quiz me. They're going to be eligible if they earn more than $3,900 in annual wages over the course of all employment in the state of Minnesota. So let's use an example. It's a part-time employee that has a winter job at a fast food restaurant, and then they get hired at a swimming pool in the summer. If for some reason they have a needed leave in that summer months in the terms of employment with us, they may be eligible to take a leave in that role, whether they've earned $3,900 from the city or not at that point, because it's a state all earnings eligibility in the state. There is a requirement, and I don't know off the top of my head, there is a requirement of a certain number of days or number of hours worked in the position before it becomes eligible. Karla whispered 90 days. That rings a bell off the top of my head, too. I'm just going to try to page the policy and see if I can find it.
Reid, would that be in the position, their current position, or just with the employer?
With the employer.
Okay.
Yep.
But again, the state determines eligibility.
Correct. Yep. And that would be the point I just, try to reiterate as many times as possible, is
Yeah.
that we help facilitate an application of an employee, but the state determines eligibility, one, eligibility, and two, what the contribution amount will be.
And the payment would come from the state to the individual that's using the program.
That's correct.
Yes.
It would come like unemployment, they would get a 1099 at the year end. And they would, so
Okay.
there won't be any taxes taken out of it, so they'll get a 1099-G from
Yeah.
the state of Minnesota for the total amount they get. And they'll have to pay that on their income tax and pay whatever taxes are liable for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, any further questions for Mr. Huttunen or Ms. Anderson here on the Minnesota paid family medical leave policy? Okay, if not, we'll talk about it next week. Let's go into item number 6 then, 2026 budget discussion. Reid and Karla, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks again, council members. We certainly had some good discussion at the council meeting last week. Just kind of reiterating, summarizing some of that discussion. Those residents that came to speak at the meeting, a large majority of the question or the concern from them was centered around the valuations of their properties. And Ms. Anderson, I think, did a fantastic job of meeting with some of them after the meeting and did some follow-up last week in trying to help put them with the right person at the Polk County Assessor's Office to be able to at least ask the question and understand the process of if you want to contest the valuation of your home, how to do that, recognizing that that's the county's responsibility to look at the value of the home, and that there is a process that happens earlier in the year to look at valuations. So that said, the budget itself, we have brought forward the same budget this week with a few minor tweaks from what was presented last week. The largest being that we have reached a tentative agreement with one of our labor unions, and based on the terms of that agreement, we have put those numbers into the budget, so it modified the numbers somewhat on where we're at. I think we did a pretty good job of managing that across that union at least, and hopefully we'll be able to come to settlement with the other unions fairly quickly. The levy, as we have it in the packet, the information that's shown, and we'll kind of walk through that. We reduced the proposed levy increase to a 9%, at least as a starting point for our discussion tonight, to see what the impact of that would be on kind of what the spending expenditures over revenues would be at that levy, and what our general fund reserves would be. In the proposed budget that's included at 9%, reminder the preliminary was a 12% levy. At a 9%, the expenditures are projected at $391,945 higher than revenues. And the fund balance at year end is projected at 41% of expenditures. That's at 2026 year end now. And of course, the discussion we've been having, reminding ourselves a lot, is the Simplot properties removed from that number, as it will need to be for accounting. I think maybe I'll pause here and just let Karla's been doing some work trying to give us a good understanding on how we're doing in 2025. And projecting what year end may look like with just a few weeks left in the year. So I'll let her detail that.
So I've been working with Terry and payroll, which there's a lot of additional payroll things at year end. So there, some unions get paid off for their comp time, some can take a health savings, a certain percentage, 3% of their sick leave can go to an HSA. So with all those different little things coming and going in, our guesstimation is that we'll be at 371 in the hole, and we budgeted 471 to come out of our fund balance, so we're looking at probably 100% to the plus or better that we expected as our fund balance.
100,000?
Yes, 100,000. So we did put them in the brief here, just so you could come up with that number. Just the guesstimation at year end of 2026 would be at 41%. Any questions on that?
Mayor Olsted.
So are we saying that it would have been 491 on the first page there instead of 391?
Okay, so in 2025,
291 then.
No,
No.
that's the annual budget spending deficit, the 391, that's 2026. Where that 100,000 in savings in 2025 is reflected is in the fund balance percentage. So we have that, Karla's projecting that 100,000 in the beginning fund balance. So it's, about an extra % on our reserves is what it accounts to.
so that instead of our fund balance going down 478 in 2025, it's going down 378.
And that's the savings on this year's budget?
Yes,
On 25 budget.
2025.
Correct.
And that's our best guess, but. Other questions?
Any questions for Reid or Karla at this time? I don't see any. I guess, do you have?
I
wanna
guess
walk through
my ask would be, we would like to bring a proposed levy to the meeting next week for consideration of approval, the last regularly scheduled meeting of the year. So if 9% is the number that everyone is comfortable with, we'll move a resolution at a 9% levy forward. If it's some number other than that, I need that direction tonight.
Okay. Right. Mayor Olsted.
Could you walk it through a scenario at 8%? Is that capable?
8%, it would go down another 71,000. So that would be at 460.
Yep. 460 and
So where would that leave our
put our
reserves at then?
reserves? I apologize. That tool that I've brought up the last couple of weeks, I don't have as updated as these numbers that are in the agenda.
Sure, no, that's fine.
I would, at an 8% levy, I would bet it's somewhere between a percent or 1.5% on the levy. So if it's at 41% now, it's roughly a 40% levy at 8%. I'm sorry, 40% general fund reserves.
Yep. So that'd balance, at 40%, that balance would be at straight across, no issues.
Correct. Yeah. This number, this 391 number would be at about 460,000 at an 8% levy. Remember, our number in 2025 is 478 is the deficit.
Sure. With the anticipation next year that we recoup the Simplot, so it'd go up to 47, 48%.
Yeah, the value of that Simplot property on our levy, it's right around 10% of the general fund reserve.
I know, I'd like to see it at 8 personally. I know that going up from what we had last few years, I think 8, and then looking forward to making sure that we're not getting to the point where we have to have a higher percentage. I think that's my thought.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments from council members? I would support 8 as well. I think, 9 or 8, I was walking into this meeting open, and I think both will work. It's interesting to reflect back on last year, we were at 3. So, 3 and 8, it's 11. So there is, and this goes to maybe Ben's comments a few months ago of trying to strike a balance and stick within a tighter bandwidth rather than down and up and down and up. That
And you said like 5% every year, so.
Right, that was going to be my next question is, any idea what we'd be looking at next year, given, like, what percentage did our budget increase this year compared to last year? Just overall budget.
4.7.
Okay. Any idea what it was the year before?
It's typically, that's what it runs, which
Okay.
is typically payroll. Just the hard thing to remember is that we did push back some capital expenditures from this year to next year.
Right.
So that will make it vary a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, and I think we're going to need to push some stuff back next year as well. Make some decisions on things. But yeah, I think moving forward, let's try and get this number hammered out a little sooner than the last one. So, thank you.
Okay. Any other further comments from the council? If not, I think we'd be ready to go next week at 8, unless anybody
Okay.
objects to that plan.
Okay. That's what we'll bring forward.
Great.
Thank you.
Any further comment? If not, that does take us to the end of our agenda. We'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Peterson. Second by Riepel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone. Drive safe on the way home.